Can a single decision change the direction of global fashion history without a single press conference, without a loud official statement, and without strategic leaks from industry insiders, yet still shake the world the moment it surfaces? This is the question now hanging in the air, seeping into international fashion newsrooms, fan forums, and elite creative industry circles, ever since one name appeared quietly yet lethally at the center of a project many observers have called one of ELLE Japan's smartest and boldest moves of the decade. Jungkook. No alarms were sounded. No countdown was launched. There was not even an official announcement delivered in a triumphant tone. Yet when the fanbase account at jimochii Steam on Platform X shared a quote from ELLE Japan's official post about its Spring Special 2026 edition, the world seemed to pause for a moment. Jungkook, a BTS member long known as a generational symbol, a pop culture icon, and a global representative of South Korea, had in fact completed a historic photoshoot in Paris. Not merely Paris as a city, but Paris as the mythology of the fashion world, as the stage of Gabrielle Coco Chanel's legacy, as the spiritual center of the Chanel brand itself. Why in silence? Why Jungkook? And why now? These questions grew increasingly relevant as details began to emerge. This photoshoot was not just another fashion editorial. ELLE Japan itself described it as a historic photoshoot, a term rarely used lightly in an industry accustomed to hyperbole. The word historic here refers not only to the location or the visual aesthetics, but to a narrative being constructed slowly, precisely, and almost flawlessly. A meeting between classical European heritage and the force of modern Asian pop culture, with Jungkook placed squarely at the heart of that intersection. Paris was not chosen for cliched romanticism, but for its history. This is the city where Gabrielle Chanel built a philosophy that transformed how women, and later the world, understood clothing, identity, and freedom of expression. By placing Jungkook on that same path, ELLE Japan and Chanel seem to be posing a profound, unspoken question. Can a contemporary global icon inherit, translate, and even expand the meaning of a fashion legacy born more than a century ago? The approximately 43-second teaser video that later circulated became the first clue to the project's scale. Presented in a vintage black and white style, Jungkook appears not as a celebrity who merely wears fashion, but as a figure who embodies its atmosphere. Frame by frame, he is seen standing before the Eiffel Tower, walking calmly around the Arc de Triomphe, and interacting with Chanel perfume bottles, including N Degree 5, the legendary fragrance inseparable from Coco Chanel herself. There is no dialogue, no voiceover narration, yet it is precisely in that silence that the strongest message is delivered. The clothing Jungkook wears also appears deliberately restrained. A crisp white shirt, a classic-cut black suit, and a neutral color palette that rejects cheap sensationalism. This is not an attempt to make Jungkook look expensive, because that status already belongs to him. Rather, it is an effort to empty the visual stage so that symbols, gestures, and context can speak. In high fashion, simplicity is often the most extreme form of courage. When ELLE Japan confirmed that Jungkook would grace the cover of its Spring Special Edition 2026, scheduled for release on January 28, 2026, public reaction erupted uncontrollably. The hashtags #JungkookXELLE Japan and #JUNGKOOKXNLBY immediately shot to the top of trending lists on X. Within hours, thousands of fans from around the world were resharing the teaser, analyzing every frame, and attempting to decode the hidden meanings behind each artistic choice. The @jimochii Steam post alone recorded hundreds of interactions in a short time, an indicator of how powerful the project's pull was even before the magazine had officially been released. Yet the most fascinating aspect is not the public reaction but the way the project was launched. There was no massive campaign beforehand, no exclusive leaks to major Western media outlets. It is as if ELLE Japan and Chanel deliberately allowed the information to spread organically, guided by curiosity and the strength of fan communities. This strategy runs counter to traditional fashion industry playbooks, yet feels deeply aligned with today's digital cultural ecosystem, where narrative control often becomes more effective when it is released rather than forced. Behind all of this, one undeniable fact rises to the surface. Jungkook is no longer merely a K-pop star who occasionally appears on fashion magazine pages. Since his solo debut with the album Golden in 2023, he has consistently built an image as a multidimensional artist, musician, performer, and now a fashion figure with cross-generational resonance. As a Chanel ambassador, his involvement in previous campaigns has already demonstrated an almost intuitive alignment between himself and the brand's values. Yet this Paris photoshoot feels different, deeper, more personal, and far more strategic. The exclusive interview to be featured in the issue has even been described as required reading, a claim that has fueled widespread speculation. What will Jungkook talk about? Will he reflect on his creative journey, the pressure of being a global icon, or his view of fashion as a language of self-expression? Or is there something larger? A confession, a reflection, or a vision of the future, being deliberately saved for this moment? Meanwhile, pre-orders for the special edition have opened through official links, including Amazon Japan and distributors such as CD Japan. History has shown that nearly every release involving Jungkook tends to sell out in a short time. But this time the stakes feel higher. This is not merely about owning a magazine. It is about bearing witness to a moment that may one day be remembered as a turning point in the relationship between K-pop and global high fashion. In Indonesia and many other countries, armies have greeted the news with a mix of pride, emotion, and disbelief. Discussions have emerged about how this photoshoot reflects a more mature, calmer, yet paradoxically more powerful side of Jungkook. Many have begun to wonder, if this is a move executed in silence, just how vast is the plan truly being prepared behind the scenes? ELLE Japan's decision to place Jungkook within the context of Gabrielle Chanel's legacy is no coincidence. It is a statement, a signal that the center of global cultural gravity is shifting, and that new icons no longer need to emerge from the same places as before. In the quiet of this strategy, one thing becomes clear: the fashion world is rewriting its rules, and Jungkook is not merely part of that story. He is one of its authors. If Paris is a language, then fashion is its grammar, and Chanel is one of the most influential sentences ever written in the history of modern culture. So when Jungkook stands in that city, not as a tourist, not as a guest star, but as the center of ELLE Japan's Spring 2026 editorial narrative, the question is no longer simply about what he is wearing, but about what message is being communicated to the world. Is this merely a beautiful photo shoot, or a carefully constructed ideological statement? In the history of fashion, no location is ever truly neutral. The Eiffel Tower is not just a tower, the Arc de Triomphe is not merely a monument, and Paris is not simply a city. They are all symbols of Western aesthetic power, centers of global taste legitimation, and stages where anyone who appears is immediately read within the long historical context of cultural dominance. Fully aware of this symbolic weight, ELLE Japan's and Chanel's decision to bring Jungkook to Paris becomes a move far more political than it appears on the surface. That black and white teaser video, which at first glance seems simple and nostalgic, actually functions like a visual academic text. The choice of a vintage style is not merely aesthetic, but a way to erase temporal boundaries. Jungkook is not positioned as a 2026 icon, but as a cross-era figure, someone capable of dialoguing with the past without losing relevance in the present. This is why there are no striking colors, no excessive modern effects, and no loud dramatization. Its visual silence is precisely where its loudest statement resides. Jungkook's interaction with the Chanel perfume bottle, particularly en Degree 5, has become one of the most analyzed details by fashion observers and fans alike. En Degree 5 is not just a fragrance, it is a cultural artifact. It symbolizes Gabrielle Chanel's revolution against traditional femininity, an aroma designed from the outset to transcend gender, class, and time. When Jungkook touches, holds, and seemingly converses with this object on screen, the emerging message becomes increasingly clear. Long-standing boundaries are being renegotiated. As a Chanel ambassador, Jungkook has indeed appeared in various campaigns before. Yet this project feels like a different chapter altogether. If earlier campaigns presented Jungkook as the global face of the brand, this ELLE Japan photoshoot positions him as a narrative medium. He is not merely promoting products. He becomes a bridge between Gabrielle Chanel's legacy and a new generation of global consumers raised on K-pop, social media, and more fluid identities. Here is where the larger strategy of the fashion world comes into sharper focus. The global fashion industry has long recognized that cultural influence is no longer monopolized by Europe and America. Asia, and particularly South Korea, has emerged as a soft power capable of shaping taste, trends, and aspirations for younger generations worldwide. Jungkook, with his status as a BTS member and as a solo artist whose album Golden marked his artistic maturity, is the most effective embodiment of this shift. ELLE Japan, as a fashion publication positioned at the crossroads of East and West, understands this momentum with near-clinical precision. Rather than simply following global trends, they chose to curate a moment. The decision to place Jungkook on the cover of the Spring Special Edition 2026 is not a spontaneous reaction to popularity, but a strategic move calculated for long-term resonance. This magazine does not merely want to be read, it wants to be remembered. The exclusive interview to be featured in the issue becomes the most anticipated and most mysterious element. In an editorial context like this, the interview is not just a visual compliment, but a key to interpretation. Every word Jungkook speaks will be read, dissected, analyzed, and contextualized within a broader discourse on identity, creativity, and the role of artists in an era of extreme globalization. The question then shifts: will Jungkook speak as a musician, as a fashion icon, or as an individual standing somewhere between the two? Public response to the announcement demonstrates that this quiet strategy exceeded expectations. Without aggressive promotional pushes, organic conversations exploded across Platform X and other social media. Hashtags linking Jungkook, ELLE Japan, and Chanel quickly transformed into multilingual, cross-cultural discussion spaces. Fans in Indonesia, Japan, Europe, and the Americas shared their interpretations, as if everyone were trying to decode the same message. The pre-order phenomenon also serves as a crucial indicator. In a print media landscape often declared to be dying, the fact that a special edition fashion magazine can trigger global purchasing urgency is both an anomaly and a warning. It proves that when a narrative is crafted precisely, traditional media still holds extraordinary magnetic power, especially when it involves a figure like Jungkook, whose presence can activate the collective emotions of millions at once. Yet beneath the euphoria, deeper and almost philosophical questions emerge. Is this the beginning of a redefinition of the K-pop idol's role in high fashion? Is Jungkook paving the way for a new generation of Asian artists not merely to be invited to the Western table, but to sit as agenda setters in the conversation? And if so, why does it all begin with a decision that was almost inaudible? Paris in this context is no longer just a backdrop. It is a witness to a subtle yet significant transition, where old symbolic power meets a new energy that can no longer be ignored. And at the center of that encounter, Jungkook stands calmly, as if fully aware that every step he takes is being recorded by history, even as the world has only just begun to understand what is truly unfolding. Yet it is precisely at this point that the story becomes even more compelling, almost intellectually unsettling. For the more details that emerge, the clearer it becomes that ELLE Japan's decision is not merely a response to Jungkook's popularity, but part of a long-term strategy designed with full awareness of shifting global cultural landscapes. The question is no longer why Jungkook, but why the fashion world can no longer afford to ignore him. In an industry that for decades has built rigid hierarchies, deciding who deserves to be called an icon and who is merely a passing trend, Jungkook appears as an anomaly that defies easy classification. He did not emerge from Parisian fashion schools, nor is he a product of Europe's cultural aristocracy. He was born from South Korea's entertainment industry, once dismissed as peripheral, and gradually transformed himself into a global center of gravity. When he now stands alongside the legacy of Gabrielle Chanel, what is being questioned is not Jungkook's credibility, but the flexibility of the old system itself. The silence surrounding the launch of this project feels almost provocative. There were no massive pre-release interviews, no bombastic claims from the brand. Even ELLE Japan chose relatively restrained language in its announcement. Yet it is precisely from this calm that the emotional impact emerges. The world is accustomed to loud surprises, but it is unprepared for a surprise that arrives without sound, then spreads like an undersea wave. For armies, particularly in Indonesia, this moment is read with deeper emotional layers. Jungkook is not seen merely as a global star, but as a representation of a collective dream. That someone from Asia, from a background considered non-traditional by Western standards, can stand at the center of the world's cultural symbols without having to alter their identity. This photoshoot is not just a beautiful visual, it is a form of symbolic validation long awaited by many, even if rarely articulated openly. The exclusive interview to be published in ELLE Japan Spring Special Edition 2026 is now positioned almost like a small historical document. Every statement Jungkook makes will be read not only as a personal opinion, but as a reflection of the direction of the times. How he interprets fashion, how he sees himself between music and image, and how he understands his responsibility as a global figure. All of this will carry weight far beyond the magazine's pages. At the same time, the fashion world itself appears to be undergoing introspection. This collaboration suggests that the era of borrowing popularity has shifted into an era of sharing narratives. Jungkook is not being used as a face to sell products, but as a character through whom a story is told. And that story is about transformation, about a legacy that does not remain frozen in the past, and about the courage to allow meaning to evolve with the times. When this edition is officially released on January 28, 2026, it will likely be remembered not only as a magazine that sold out quickly, but as a marker of a moment when the fashion world collectively acknowledged that its center of influence has shifted, and that new voices no longer arrive with loud proclamations, but with a quiet, assured confidence. Ultimately, ELLE Japan's quiet decision feels like an open question thrown into the world. If Jungkook can stand at the intersection of Paris, Chanel, and a new global generation, then who will follow next? And are we truly ready to face the next chapter of fashion history? A chapter no longer written by a single culture, a single city, or a single language.